Hello everyone, my name is Julie, and if you exist anywhere on booktube, whether as a viewer, as a creator, you have definitely seen this video making its rounds. It is the mid-year book tag. Is that what it's called? I think it's called the mid-year book tag. Yeah, the mid-year book tag, and it's basically acting as kind of a recap of the first half of the year, telling you what books I've enjoyed, which ones I haven't, which ones I am anticipating or need to get to, a whole bunch of different fun bookish questions. I have my reading journal here to help me with these questions in case I forget anything. I also have my TBR cart behind me for any future/anticipated reads. I've got my computer here so I can look up my GoodReads. Basically, we're gonna just talk books for, I don't know, the next 10, 15, 20 minutes, which is just my absolute favorite thing to do. I really feel like 2026 has been such an amazing reading year for me. I feel like I don't have that many standout terrible books in my mind right now. Like in recent months, I've just read so many amazing books and I've just been having an amazing time. Like I really honed in my reading taste in the last couple of years, so I'm reading less of what I don't like, which is always the goal. If you've watched my videos, you probably know I read almost every genre under the sun: horror, fantasy, fiction, mystery. I read it all. So I'm gonna try to make sure that that shows in this video, showing some variety of the different types of books I like to read. And maybe this will just help me further understand my reading tastes so I can continue to have an amazing year and not waste my time on books that I end up hating. Yeah, there are a couple of them, but not a lot, thankfully. If you have any standout answers for any of these questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below. But let's get started with question number 1, which asks the best book you've read this year, which is so hard because I am not stingy with my 5 stars. Some people, like, they'll have 1 5-star read a year. I'm not stingy. I'm just like, here, everyone gets a 5-star if I had a good time. So if I go into my reading journal, let's see how many 5-star reads I've had. So here's my rating tracker. You can tell that I've had a lot of 5-star reads, also a lot of 4.5-star reads and 4-star reads. Again, not stingy. If I had a good time, like, the book gets 5 stars. I don't really like make it a competition or anything, so let's count. 14 5-star reads this year. How many total books have I read? According to GoodReads, I've read 84 books this year. Keep in mind that I think about 9 or 10 of those are manga volumes, so whether you count that or not, that's up to your discretion. But yeah, 14 5-star reads. Should I list all of them? That might be a little excessive. Let's rapid fire them real quick. We have Station 11, Is This a Cry for Help?, The Well of Ascension, Fruits Basket Volume 1, So Far Gone, The Raven Scholar, Yona of the Dawn Volume 14, Mad Mabel, The Book Thief, The Hunger Games, The Hero of Ages, Writers and Lovers, Discontent, and Poison Study. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't regret any of that. Like, looking back at all those books, those are all 5-star reads. So why would I withhold the 5-star rating if I really loved all these books and still love them months and months later? I'll admit that's not a great answer when I'm asked what's your favorite book and I list 14 of them, so let me try and hone in on the best ones I've read this year. Station 11 is definitely a standout for me. That was my first 5-star read of the year and I'm still thinking about that book. It just had a really lasting impression on me. I'll also call out The Hero of Ages as a standout 5-star book. That's the last book in the Mistborn trilogy of, you know, The Greater Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson. And then I'll also call out Is This a Cry for Help by Emily Austen, since I feel like I haven't talked about that book on my channel, but that one was so amazing. It's basically about a librarian who kind of goes through like a mental crisis, and when she comes back to work, there's like a whole big problem. Like, the community gets together because they want to ban a book, and she has to deal with that along with her mental crisis as a librarian trainee. Like, it was just so much fun to read about like the struggles of being a librarian. I thought it was just so quirky and relatable, and I really loved that one. So we'll count those as our standouts and go into the second question, which asks the best sequel that I've read this year. So, I mean, I know I've already said The Hero of Ages, but I'm gonna say both The Well of Ascension and The Hero of Ages were standout sequels for me. Those are the second and third books in the Mistborn trilogy. I read both of them this year. Like, you've heard people talk about Brandon Sanderson. It's no surprise, it's no joke that he is just an excellent author. Like, he's written almost, I think, 60 books or something like that. This is a high fantasy series where the magic is based on metals. It's called allomancy, and some people, mistlings, have the ability to swallow and use the powers of a certain type of metal, and Mistborns can use all of the different metals and all the different powers. As you can imagine, our main character, Vin, is a Mistborn, and she is just the most badass, amazing character you will ever read about. I have never met a stronger main character. Like, the shit she goes through, but how strong and powerful she is. It's just an excellent book, and each book gets better in this series. Loved the first one, and then I was like, wow, the second one's really good. And then I read the third one. I'm like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing. So if you're intimidated by the Mistborn trilogy, I would say don't be. Just give it a try. It's really fun. Though admittedly, I am afraid to go into more Brandon Sanderson books because his future series in this kind of world are even more ridiculously long, like over 1,000 pages per book in over like 5 or 6 books. So yeah, scared, but excited. Number 3 asks you about a new release you haven't read yet but you want to. I think a couple of obvious ones here. We have Yesteryear. This book is making like such a big splash in the book world. It is pretty much unavoidable to hear about, and I know books about trad wives are super trendy. I've got one here on my shelf. I've seen a bunch of them like on GoodReads, but this one is really like a standout in the book world for some reason. So that's one I would definitely like to get to. I think it just sounds really, really fascinating. And then another one would be Fever Dream by Elsie Silver, since I really enjoyed her Rose Hill series, and I think this would be another fun one to get to. Question 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and oh my gosh, there are so many, but I'm fortunate to have a lot of them available on NetGalley as an e-arc. Understory by Chloe Benjamin, which releases September 1st, 2026, where our main character works on a base in Antarctica. I think that sounds fantastic. You know me, I love Antarctica. I want to go there. Chosen Son by Adrienne Young, and this releases December 15th, so really late in the year. That is the second book in the Fallen City duology. I have Hollow Bones by Jodi Picoult here. I would take it out, but it's pretty jam-packed in there. Very excited about that one. I have that one physically. Super excited and grateful. One more I don't actually have as an arc is Exit Party by Emily St. John Mandel. As I said earlier, one of my favorite books I read this year, Station 11, and so I would love to read more by her. Next question is my biggest disappointment. Oh, and I fear it is Shadow Reaper by Lynette Noni. I've been talking a lot about this book lately and how much I don't like it, which feels a little bit unfair, but I was so disappointed. I was so excited to read another book by this author, and it was just, unfortunately, very poor in my opinion. I just really did not enjoy it. It felt like a super generic fantasy book with unlikable characters, an underdeveloped world, and an entirely too young adult feeling. I won't go on too much about it since I've been talking ad nauseum about how much I did not like this book, but yeah, it's got to be that one. Number 6 is The Biggest Surprise, and another book I've read very recently, but we're going with Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. I don't know what was in this book, but I ate it up. It's a fantasy book that was written in 2005, so probably everyone knows and loves this book already. Obviously getting on the hype train a little bit late, but I really, really enjoyed it. It's about our main character who becomes the food taster for our commander in lieu of being executed, so she's basically always at risk of being poisoned. But there's such an amazing found family in this book. I didn't think there was any romantic elements in this book, and there was, and it was just so sweet and charming. It's not that I had low expectations for this book, but I just didn't really know what I was getting into. It's like a 2000s fantasy book. Like, how good could it be? I loved it. I was very pleasantly surprised, and I plan on reading Magic Study Book 2 this month. Number 7 is Favorite New Author, Debut or New to You. So none of these I think are debut authors, but Antonia Hodgkin, who wrote Raven Scholar, I loved that book. Emily Austen, like I was saying before with Is This a Cry for Help, I would love to read more of her backlist. And then Jess Walter, who wrote So Far Gone. This is another book that I had very little expectations going into, and then I read it and just really, really loved it. I would love to go into his backlist and see what else he's written. So a couple of fiction authors, a fantasy author. There's just so much talent out there. It's hard to say, oh, I want to go into 10 different authors' backlist because there's so many books to read. And thinking about it makes me upset that I won't be able to read all of them. Number 8 is Newest Fictional Crush. I feel like I don't read enough romance to be like crushing on contemporary romance guys, because most times I find them sort of cringy, not gonna lie. But a couple of fantasy romantasy reads recently that I've read from Poison Study, Valak, yeah, he's my guy. I kind of love him. And then I also just finished Silver Elite, and not gonna lie, Cross Redden is like kind of hot. Yeah, but to be fair, I don't really read that much like romance or romantasy, so those are just like the ones most recently in my head. Number 9 is New Favorite Character. This might be bad, but I feel like characters don't really stay in my head after a book is read. Like the story's there and like general plot points, but characters are a little bit more tough. So a couple that I have just off the top of my head. We have Mabel from Mad Mabel, probably the only reason I remember the character's name. This is actually another book that I didn't expect to love as much as I did, but I really, really enjoyed it. Mabel has kind of a tortured past. Everyone has accused her of all of these things, and we slowly uncover and unravel her life, and it's really beautiful. The end literally made me cry crying at a mystery book is unheard of. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. And also Uva from A Man Called Uva. Again, probably the only reason I remember the character's name is because it's in the title. Another older character, just a grumpy old man who finds family at the end. Like, both of these stories have that same parallel of just growing old and not really having a lot of people by your side anymore, whether that's because of, you know, age or circumstance, and just throughout the story finding your people, finding a new family. So beautiful in both of these stories. Love those two characters to death. Number 10, topical since I was just talking about it, but a book that made you cry. I'm gonna pull up my reading journal. I literally have a spread that I made to track books that made me cry because I realized it was happening more frequently than I'd like to admit. A Man Called Uva, yep, Station 11, The Well of Ascension, Keeper of Lost Children, The Nightingale, Before We Were Yours, Mad Mabel, The Book Thief, The Hunger Games. Yeah, I'm a little emotional, I'm a little bit of a baby, but nothing wrong with that. I mean, literature should make you feel something, and I'm so glad that I can find books that make me feel strong emotions. I'll tell you a couple of these standouts though, since again, listing off a bunch of books isn't that helpful. I would say Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. That one really had me going. It's a very sad historical fiction based on real life events where wealthy people would essentially kidnap poor or underprivileged children and adopt them out for large fees. It's really, really devastating because the main character of this story also has 4 siblings and we kind of watch them get torn apart, and it's really, really sad and devastating. Of course, The Book Thief. Don't even have to talk about that. It's a World War II novel. And The Hunger Games. Oh my god, I was crying like a baby reading The Hunger Games, as if I haven't read the book and watched the movie 100 times. Yeah. Number 11 is a book that made you happy, and I was like going through my reading journal and thinking, wow, I read a lot of depressing books. So what I can come up with is The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman. This is the 3rd book in the Thursday Murder Club series, and these books are just so much fun. It's about a bunch of older characters living in a retirement community solving cold cases, and you know, 3 books in, you just see the relationships between these different characters just grow and change in the most beautiful ways. There's definitely sad elements to this because they're all, you know, at the end of their life and they're thinking about death, they're seeing their friends around them dying. It's just so beautiful because they don't have a care in the world because they know they're at the end of their life, and so they're kind of just saying fuck it and doing whatever they want, and it's just so funny and hilarious. I actually really need to continue this series. I keep saying I'm gonna pick up the 4th one and I just haven't gotten around to it, but these books really just make me smile and laugh. I mean, I've read 84 books, but I still can't really find a whole bunch of happier books. I've been reading the Fruits Basket manga. That's a lot of fun. I used to watch the anime. The manga is really fun as well. It's basically about a young teenage girl who gets swept into this family where there's a curse where 12 of the family members turn into the different animals of the zodiac when they're hugged of people by the opposite gender. It's just a silly, goofy time, and it's a lot of fun. Number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I've got a couple of books I actually received. Again, always gonna say this, but I'm so grateful to actually be sent book mail by publishers. So grateful. We have The Young Will Remember by Eve J. Chung, one of my most anticipated releases of the year. Really, really enjoyed this one, and I realized I haven't talked about it in this video, so here it is for pretty cover. This one is a historical fiction about our main character who gets caught behind enemy lines during the Korean War. It touches on a lot of tough topics of race, where our main character, you know, is Asian and is constantly perceived as a different race than she is. Nobody really believes she's American. People perceive her as the enemy or, you know, an ally just based on her appearance and what languages she speaks. It's a really, really fascinating one. I love Eve J. Chung. I definitely recommend this book and her first one as well. And then this one I just received in the mail a couple days ago. We have Call Me Traitor by Everina Maxwell. This is an arc that releases in December. So thank you so much to Tor Publishing Group, but look how beautiful this is. Like, this is honestly just stunning. It's a sapphic fantasy book that I believe is enemies to lovers, forbidden love, slow burn, dark academia, like all those buzzwords just sound absolutely amazing. I absolutely need to read this one soon, if only for the cover. And even the back is really pretty too. That's gorgeous. And then the final question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And oh my goodness, it is just so many. I am constantly overwhelmed with how many books I want to read. Like, I'm just surrounded by unread books because I just keep taking them out from the library and buying them, getting them from Libby. It's just, there's so many books I want to read. Obviously, I need to finish my 26 books in 2026, so I've got about 12 of these left, but these are the obvious answers. Some standouts from this list are definitely 11/22/63 by Stephen King, Artemis by Andy Weir, If We Were Villains by, I don't know who it's by off the top of my head, Guild by Raven Kennedy, like just so many of these I am just so eager to get to. I would also love to continue working on series. Magic Study by Maria V. Snyder. I'd like to finish out the off-campus series with The Goal. I probably am gonna ignore The Legacy, honestly. I would love to finish out the Broken Earth trilogy. I only have one more book in there, The Stone Sky. I've got a plethora of arcs to get through, a lot of new releases that I was talking about earlier. And I know I've already listed so many books, but here are a couple more that are on my priority TBR. We have Homegoing, The Poet Empress, and I mean, unfortunately for me, I just always add more books to my TBR. So many books I want to read, so little time. I'm gonna stop this video now because the neighbor's landscapers just showed up and I'm not sure if you could hear them, but I'd prefer if you didn't. So let's wrap this up. Thank you all so much for watching. I've had so much fun sitting here and talking about books. Like, it just makes me want to go outside and read, even though it's 95 degrees out. We're not going to talk about that. I would love to hear about some of your best reads this year, some of your most anticipated reads. This is just so much fun. I love talking about books with people. It always makes me add books to my TBR, but listen, it's fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more videos. I will see you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scout, and goodbye.